Evening, folks. Hang on, I used to have the camera there, now it's over there, and I keep looking over there, hence the reason you're seeing the side of my face. I should really look over there so you can see me straight on. Anyway, yeah, good evening. Yeah, there's only a couple of people on. No surprise, because I only announced this about an hour ago, something like that. So who have we got in tonight? Oh, it's Dell and Mr. Colin Gregory. How are you, chaps? I hope you're well. Yeah, I've not been doing as many of these. If I'm being honest, I think they're quite boring. I don't know what you guys think. One thing that I hate in life is wasting time doing something that's not productive. You know, and that's that could be, I don't know, that could be doing something at work. If I'm doing a task at work that I know is a waste of time, then I don't want to waste time doing it. And conversely, I don't want to waste my time doing something like this if people don't enjoy it. Let me know. Let me know what you think of this. Is it good fun? I certainly don't think. I don't think it warrants one a week. I know I was doing them every single week. I think people would get pretty bored pretty quick if I was doing them. Let me know what you think. Anyway, I'm trying to. I've got bloody shitloads of stuff that we could watch. I'm just trying to see what we should do. Yeah, let me know. Let me know if these things are if they're fun or not. Because, like I said, I don't want to be doing something like this if people are don't find it interesting. Excuse me. So I'm just waiting on this thing to open up. Let me have a quick wee look to see what this is. Right, I don't know. I was going to do. What do you call it? Look at. What was I going to look at? God, you can see I'm prepared. Completely and utterly unprepared. I was going to do. What was I going to do? I was going to do. I can't even remember what I was going to do. What was I going to do? I was going to do another when games attack, and then I remembered that the sound was completely rubbish.
I was doing something I really like. It's kind of like.
Right, here's one here.
Then much break me over the coals to see what.
Got to.
This is called Once Upon a Atari. But
playing a game with them.
I don't know. Yeah, no, I should just play some games, do some C64 demos, as Colin says. Right, listen, I'll get something playing, and then I wonder if there's any films we could watch. Now that's going to take up way too much time. No, this one here, this takes up way too much time as well. Right, listen, fuck it. Let's we'll watch a micro live, and then we'll see how the time goes. Micro live. Let's jump in a wee bit. Let's go to season number 2. Let's go to series number 2. Right, these are only half an hour, which is fine. Right, let's go to series 2, episode 1. Right, where are we? No, I don't want to. Right, God, I'm all over the place tonight. Right, share a video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that over there, like so. Yeah, if Panther is Panther UK, if he's at the one side of the professional videos, then I'm the polar opposite. Honestly, I'm an absolute riot. Right, let's go. But that's why you lot watch this channel. You certainly don't watch it to see any remarkable game skills or organisation. You do it because hopefully entertain you. Right, video file, and right, okay, this is Micro Live Series 2, Episode 1. Take it away, Mr. Fred Harris. How's the volume, folks? Is the volume all right? Ba-dum, ba-bum, bum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Good stuff. Thanks, Stephen.
Hello and welcome to Micro Live, back with a new weekly series. This week we'll be taking a look at the ups and downs of the computer industry since we were last on the air.
I'll be talking to Lynn McTaggart, the editor of Which Computer magazine, about the problems caused by some computer maintenance contracts.
And I'll be explaining
how to make your computer talk to you.
Now, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, the computer graphic must be worth a megabyte. Well, Wednesday to Friday next week sees Computer Graphics 85 at Wembley Conference Centre here in London. There's 3 days of nearly every type of computer graphics to see, from business and information graphics to animation, and even the latest in holography. But the event of the week is the Computer Animation Film Festival, to be judged on Thursday night, when 50 films from all over the world vie for the title of Best Computer Animation of 1985. We've had a sneak preview of the mass of good entries. This one, Tom's Gears from Cranston Zuri Productions Inc. in Columbus, Ohio, seems to do the impossible. Here are some other entries we particularly liked.
When you look at that is quite impressive. You know, especially when you factor in it was 1985, 40 years ago from that. Yeah, Pixar just absolutely changed the goalposts completely. Horrible looking thing. Yeah, no lamp demo, and then you had that was the introduction to Pixar, wasn't it?
Entry to the Computer Animation Film Festival costs £25 a ticket, but we'll have more of those graphics for you next week and the details of the winners. The exhibition itself, Computer Graphics 85, is open to anyone aged over 18. It could cost you £5, but by special arrangement, it's free to anyone who says Micro Live at the ticket booth. Now, Mac.
Well, over the last year, the computer industry has gone through one of the most traumatic periods it's ever likely to experience, from boom to doom. Household names like Sinclair and Acorn got in the most awful state. And only today, Acorn announced a record loss of £22 million. Even the industry giant IBM caught a cold. Like most things in this industry, it all started in America, as Fref reports.
Summer came early to New York this year. At least it did to computer retailers. They expected a drop-off in sales. That's traditional. The home market booms at Christmas time, and schools and businesses buy most of their computers in the fall. But a drop-off is one thing. A slump is something else, especially when it comes 3 months early. In March of 1985, IBM announced that it was no longer going to be manufacturing the PC Junior. For IBM to so offhandedly drop a product shook consumer confidence in the entire market.
IBM said the home market was dead. So the home market was dead.
You got a bit squint now, I think.
People who have been thinking about computers went into shock. And its sales have been slow for all of
Hey,
the
look at that
machines,
big belly.
especially. Software a little bit better, but not as good as it has been.
A lot of stores hit hard times. Too hard for some. I bought my PC at this store. Came in a few weeks ago to buy supplies and found it like this. dead and gone, along with my store warranty. But here at 47th Street Photo, an electronics cash and carry in Midtown Manhattan, very little in the way of dealer backup is offered, and so prices can be slashed. Have they found business slow?
I don't like to say slow. They've changed. It's different than it used to be. It's a more serious buyer. Buying more merchandise when he walks in here. He's buying a more complete system. It's not that spontaneous, off-the-shelf, one-of-a-kind type thing anymore. It's a thought-out, well-thought-out purchase.
So what's ahead for America? Well, drastically falling prices, but even so, price and hardware are not what sell computers. Software sells computers. We've outgrown games here in America, and the real future belongs to the companies that can create new software products that meet people's practical needs.
Well, with the American computer industry catching a cold, it wasn't long before pneumonia was rampant here. For some home computer companies, it proved fatal. Hardware companies, software companies, they were all being zapped like space invaders that had made them all rich. One man who is uniquely placed to know just how serious the shakeout is Bill Gates, the chairman of Microsoft. That's the company which wrote the software that's become the standard operating system on business micros. A multimillionaire at 29 with a software empire on both sides of the Atlantic, embracing business and home machines. What does he make of the last 9 months?
The home computer market is in very bad shape. The current product doesn't provide enough benefit to really keep on growing and selling to more homes. And so a lot of companies expected growth and they're not finding any. In fact, in some cases, it's shrinking. The office market is quite different. It's still growing very healthily. It won't double this year, but it'll grow by, at least 30 to 40%.
More electronic and computer companies have been floated on the stock exchange over the last 3 years than any other sector. They sailed through calm waters and cruised into massive profits. High-tech shares put on millions of pounds. A buoyant stock exchange gave no clue of the storms to come, nor of the financial lifeboats which would have to be launched. Some say the people here in the city were partially to blame for the wrecks. Suddenly, the darling of venture capitalists was jilted.
If you look at a share like Apricot, something like 70% of the market capitalisation has been wiped off so far this year. If you had £100 invested on the 1st of January, that's down to £30 now. And I think the reason is not far to seek. It's been a very difficult period in terms of sales and in terms of profitability. To give you an idea of that, in the second half of last year, that's June to December, Acorn had really quite reasonable sales. In the first half of this year, just 40% of that was what they
this year.
So that's the problem, and it's come through in terms of profitability as well.
Apricot's chairman, Roger Foster.
I think, of course, the area that we at Apricot are in is very much the business area, and that's been pretty steady. There's been a degree of slowing down in the past few months, but only of the order of a slowing of growth. And I think that in the business section which we operate in, we shall continue to see 30% growth rates for the next sort of 5 years. It's in the home computer market that really, I do think in that market it is the end of the day, and that there has been a major downturn, and we will not see a reversal of that downturn. So I think it's important to try and spell out the differences between the two markets.
We were certainly enthusiastic when things were going up. We tend to lose our cool quite rapidly. But in the end, it's down to profits numbers. And when the companies are saying the profits aren't going well, when they're even reporting losses, that's when we get really worried. And that's been the position recently.
Do you think we're going to see some more casualties in the months to come?
I think we will, yes.
Names?
Well, particularly amongst the smaller companies, but I'd be a rash man to name them at the moment.
There are many different ways of getting a micro to talk to you.
Some machines, like this RML Nimbus, can even talk in your voice.
This Nimbus works like a digital sound recorder. Earlier today, I used a microphone to record that sentence, and the Nimbus stored away some 8,000 samples for each second of speech. To speak, it just reads those samples back. Well, that's all very well, but what can it do that a £20 cassette recorder can't? Well, of course, a computer can decide what to say and when under the control of a program. For instance, this is a machine you might find in schools. Just imagine the potential for software that can do this kind of thing in the teacher's own voice.
Well done, Katie. You've scored 9 out of 10.
Excellent quality. But 30 seconds of speech would use up about 128 kilobytes of memory. That's the equivalent of about 50 pages of typed A4. And it's far more memory than the average home or school micro can offer. So how can you get intelligible speech using less memory? Well, it can be done, but you'll lose some of those human qualities. To begin with, you'll need one of these. It's a miniature synthesizer. It can make all kinds of sounds, but it was particularly designed to simulate the human voice. And you'll also need another chip to tell it what sounds to make. This one is a ROM, a read-only memory. And the data in here instructs this chip to make complete English words. You'll find a pair of chips like this inside the familiar Speak and Spell, which is an educational toy. Obviously, it helps children with their spelling. But with different data in the ROM, you can get your BBC Micro to talk with Kenneth Kendall's cultured tones. Well, here's a program which is reading the temperature of the studio, and as you can hear, it's pretty hot in here. It's speaking it out. Well, that could be useful if you were running a scientific experiment and needed to keep your eyes on other things. Well, yes, thank you, Kenneth. That's great. With both the Speak and Spell and the Kenneth Kendall ROMs, the data is stored as complete words. So the only words they can speak are the ones they come with. In this case, it's about 100. Fine for some uses, but for general applications, that could be a problem. Have you ever tried a conversation with just a 100-word vocabulary? Well, it can cramp your style. For more words, you'd need more chips. So for a full vocabulary, the problems and the expense would be horrendous. The answer seems to lie not in whole words, but word parts. That is, component sounds of speech, which, when strung together correctly, can be used to construct any English word. Things like sh, f, a, I, k, that sort of thing. These sounds are called phonemes, or in some situations, allophones, and reasonable English can be built from just about 40 or 50 of them. By storing that small number of phonemes in a ROM, any English word can be pronounced by stringing together the correct sequence. And that's the approach that Computer Concepts have taken with their new software for the BBC Micro, which costs about £33. To code in words, you have to think about how they sound, not how they're spelt. For example, here's part of a sentence that I'm working on at the moment. This is not as easy as it. Well, notice that is has been coded as IZ. You see, otherwise the Micro would say is. Well, I need the word sounds to complete that phrase, and the first phoneme is easy. That's just S. But the next sound is a bit of a problem. Ow. You see, there isn't a letter on the keyboard for ow. So, as ever, if all else fails, reach for the handbook. Well, here we are, and it's got a list of vowel sounds here with different words they might appear in. For example, here's E and O down here. Ah, yes, there we are. Clown, that's the ow sound, that's the one I want, and that's coded as AW. Fair enough. AW. That's sow, now N, obviously. And I think I can probably manage without that D, because we don't say sounds, we say sounds. So, Z to finish it off, and how's that?
Give the nail. Yep. Walk again.
Oh, that's not too bad, quite recognisable. Just a bit flat, something like a tame Dalek. Well, no problem. This system even allows some kind of emphasis. Let's punch that word sounds. That needs an asterisk in the right place.
It is not as easy as it sounds.
And notice how the inflection of all those other words is tailored to build up to sounds.
It is not as easy as it sounds.
That's pretty convincing. The main problem is I had to translate each of those words into the phoneme equivalent. That takes a long time and a bit of experimentation. Of course, it would be great if the machine could speak from standard text, then you could get your computer to read your electronic mail to you over the telephone. But that's a tall order, or to coin a phrase, it's not as easy as it sounds. Text-to-speech needs a system which understands the grammar, the sense, and the context of words. Well, they haven't quite got there yet, but some systems are pretty close. Here are just a few add-on units. They each have software which applies simple language rules to the words to guess the pronunciation. And this sentence is an acid test. Power mowers are thoroughly tough, though. Although those words look similar, we know that they're pronounced differently. But what do the computers make of it? First of all, this system here. Well, I'm not too sure about that word thoroughly, but the rest of it was all right. This is a standard Commodore 64 with an add-on unit at the back from Curragh. It's the Curragh Speech 64, and there it is. And it only costs about 30 quid, so really, I think at that price it's a thoroughly good buy. Over here we've got a BBC Micro with yet another add-on. This is the Name, I'll Type and Talk, and that sounds like this.
Our viewers are thoroughly tough.
Well, it made some kind of sense at first, a little bit mechanical. But that's £171, and that unit is compatible with most home micros. Over here, there's a much more expensive piece of hardware. It's the ICL Professional unit, costing about £1,000, and that sounds like this.
Our more your early tough hole.
Oh, not bad at all. That sounds very confident anyway. And finally, those were all add-on units, but over here there's the machine that set the industry buzzing. Everybody is saying that the Commodore Amiga is the machine of the future, and it's interesting that they've provided text-to-speech as standard.
Our mowers are thoroughly tough, though.
Pretty good. That costs about, well, $1,200 US, but of course over here you're going to have to wait. Well, that test was none too serious, but to see how valuable this can be in practice, we've been to see one person who's using the speech system as part of his everyday life. You may remember him from one of our earlier series.
Don't know what happened to the Amiga.
Richard Gomm is severely disabled. His only means of communication is by the pointer attached to his head. He uses this to spell out letters. Over the past few years, the keyboard of his computer has been his lifeline. He's even used it to produce 80,000 words for a thesis for a doctorate in philosophy. A monumental typing task, even for someone able-bodied. His latest link with the world is a Mamemeister speech synthesizer, which now means that, to a limited extent, he can use the phone. A Tandata auto-dial modem linked to a BBC Micro gets him connected.
Just thinking that day, we've seen this guy before, haven't we?
For this call, he's already prepared some phrases in advance.
Broadhaven. 472, hello?
Is that my president?
Yes, hello Richard, how are you?
You would freak out if you answered.
I am well. How are you?
Oh, I'm quite well, thank you.
Have I got a problem for you?
Oh, tell me about it.
He types the words on the Apple Micro, and the synthesizer's software then works out the pronunciation using 400 speech rules and speaks down the line for him.
Every time I access my floppy, it crashes.
Well, I think I'll have to come over and have a look at it sometime this week. Have you got a day free?
Typing other words letter by letter is very slow and might make people ring off in frustration. So he speeds things up by using some word anticipation software that he's written himself.
Friday.
Oh no, Friday's up. Have you got another day?
It makes a guess at what he means from just a few letters.
Thursday.
And he uses single characters or codes for commonly used words.
Google that, I've never actually heard of her.
Goodbye.
John Piper is Richard's friend and technical advisor. How does he see the system developing?
He can now use the telephone and speak to anyone. But you still have the problem of the rate at which he can make his messages. One of the answers that we're looking at, or one of the possibilities, is the use of an extended keyboard such as this, that gives him very quick access to a very much larger range of utterances that are possible with the conventional QWERTY keyboard.
Well, to prove that it can even work on live television, we've got Richard on the end of this phone. Hello, Richard. Well, you've described your system on our program notes, but can people contact you to buy the software?
Yes, if they contact me through Micro Live.
Well, that wasn't bad. The line isn't quite as good as it was in the film. I think you said yes if they contact me through Micro Live. Well, what machines does the software work on? BBC and Apple II. Thank you very much, Richard. Goodbye.
Oh, we've lost Richard. That was worth £1,000. Jesus.
British micro makers are in Moscow to bid for Soviet government contracts. IT Minister Geoffrey Patty is told government cuts will hit youth training at information technology centres. And Apricot moves towards IBM compatibility as they launch Zen. A group of British micro-makers is now in Moscow trying to persuade the Russian government to buy British. The trade mission, led by ICL, will be demonstrating British microcomputers to more than 50 Soviet government departments, including the Education Ministry. The Soviet bloc is banned from buying the West's more sophisticated computers. Information Technology Minister Geoffrey Patty has been told that government cuts will hit high-technology training for young unemployed people. He was given the warning as he toured Blackpool's Information Technology Centre. It's claimed that government funding plans will hit some of the 170 centres. A spokesman for the Department of Trade and Industry says when the iTechs were set up, they were expected to be self-sufficient within 3 years.
I never realised the programme.
Apricot has launched a new business micro and for the first time offers some IBM compatibility. Called the Zen, the new top-of-the-range machine uses 286 processors, Microsoft Windows, and is claimed to be 4 times faster than an IBM PC. Starting at just over £2,000, Apricot hope it will secure a slice of the lucrative top-end business market. It uses a 3.5-inch micro floppy disk, and its move towards IBM compatibility is achieved through an add-on 5-inch disk and emulator software. The machine follows the current trend of built-in telephone and communications software. It's made in Scotland and will be available at the end of the month. The battle over which microcomputer operating systems will be industry standard has taken a major turn, as Wendy Woods reports from California.
The battle between IBM and AT&T heated up this week as AT&T introduced a micro which competes with IBM's phenomenally selling PC-AT. The 6300 Plus runs Unix and IBM's PC-DOS, the first machine ever to do so. But the fact that it's IBM compatible means that the telephone giant has thrown in the towel in trying to make Unix alone the new industry standard. This is Wendy Woods reporting from Silicon Valley for Micro Live.
And finally, Japan says it will ban the export of computers to South Africa's police and armed forces because of the country's policy on apartheid.
Thank you, Leslie. Well, a maintenance contract for your computer seems on the face of it a very good idea. If you're totally dependent on the computer data, you just can't afford to have blank VDUs. So worried corporate computer users find this kind of advert very tempting.
5% of the cost of the system per year nationwide. This cost is for a fully comprehensive contract, including parts, labour and travelling, with a 24-hour response and fixed time.
Sounds good. 5% is a third to a half normal charge. But when David Greenhalgh of Sonat Offshore signed up with Sullivan's, he discovered that 24 hours could be a very long time. Sullivan's standard contract reads very differently from their advert.
To its best endeavours, Sullivan's will start equipment repair within 24 hours of the
That's Life.
Sullivan's will install replacement loan units for standard equipment and at no extra cost. This installation is subject to availability.
Sullivan's best endeavour for Sonat Offshore meant a fastest response time of 2 days. No replacement machine for an IBM XT, which was taken away for repair, then returned without its mains lead, and unfulfilled promises that engineers would call. In fact, Sonat became so dissatisfied that earlier this year they successfully sued Sullivan's for breach of contract. And Sullivan's has had dissatisfied customers before. The Advertising Standards Authority has this year upheld 2 complaints about adverts for Sullivan's and for their holding company, Computer Hardware Maintenance.
We spoke to Sullivan's managing director, Chris Sullivan, who told us that he disagreed with the facts according to Sonat and was appealing against the court order. He also said that the Advertising Standards Authority had upheld one of the complaints simply because his letter of explanation had not arrived until the day of
I
the
thought
decision.
this was a bit more fun than it is. It's a bit
A London company who wants to remain anonymous were
highbrow.
dissatisfied with the maintenance service offered by their computer supplier, Systime. Too late, they discovered that not a single word in their contract referred to Systime's obligation to actually repair the machines. And when the company tried to get out of the contract, they discovered that Systime
would expect a substantial cancellation fee for termination of a contract which has only run 2 of its 5 years.
This month, Which Computer magazine has a cover story about computer maintenance companies. And I've been joined by their editor, Lynn McTaggart. Welcome, Lynn.
Thank you.
Tell me, are these isolated cases or is it very common?
It's very common. To find out just how good the average maintenance contract is, we sent out questionnaires to 3,000 of our subscribers, and we were very surprised by the results, because while some are victims of cowboys, almost everybody is a victim of the fine print in contracts of otherwise reputable companies. There's all manner of escape clauses allowing these companies to get away with murder.
I went through a few contracts and looked at them myself, and there's one I think is quite a good contract where it says this company agrees to provide maintenance service to keep the equipment in good working order and condition and in accordance with the manufacturer's specification. Now that sounds very clear and logical, but this other one says the service shall provide both remedial and preventive maintenance. I didn't say what they're going to achieve by this. Is this the difference between a cowboy and a respectable company?
Well, I think most contracts read like the latter. They very carefully specify response time when somebody's going to arrive, but they don't actually say that their job is to fix the computer.
What should they look for in a good contract, then?
Well, what you have to avoid is, first of all, you have to have it clearly stated that they're supposed to come quickly and repair the equipment. Secondly, you've got to have your solicitor look over the length of contract, length of time it's supposed to run. Many contracts say that you can cancel at the end of the minimum period. Let's say that's 5 years, or on the anniversary of the minimum period. This means it's actually a 6-year contract. And if you miss the appointed day when you're supposed to do it, it's actually a 7-year contract. Then there's the term best endeavors. If ever there was an escape clause, that's it. What that means is that legally they may use their best endeavors to fix your kit, but they don't actually have to get it up and running again.
One of my friends was rather astonished when his son came in and said he'd got a job as a computer maintenance engineer, microcomputer maintenance engineer. He asked, what qualifications have you got for this job? Because he knew he had none. He said, well, I have a driving license. All I have to do is drive there, clean the disk, and take the machine away if I can't understand it. He was totally without any qualifications. Is that the sort of tricks they play?
Well, again, in the contract, it doesn't say anything about how good the engineer has to be. So if you're just looking at, if the contract's just saying that he has to get there at a certain time, any yabo can show up with a screwdriver in his hand.
And that actually does happen?
Oh, yes, in many cases, yes.
Well, tell me, how would you set about looking for a good maintenance company?
I think, first of all,
Remember, Graham, if you want
when you're looking into a maintenance company, ask for a list of their customers, and don't be afraid to ring them up and ask them about their service. Become an informed consumer yourself, and to that end, Which Computer is giving away a free booklet this month that talks about avoiding these pitfalls. Finally, make sure your solicitor drafts the contract, not the maintenance company.
Thank you very much, Lynn. Thank you.
Thank you.
I love how he just cuts her off. Oh,
and
she's
now,
not happy.
news of the first Microlive of 1986. On January the 17th, the programme will come from the Which Computer Show in Birmingham. And as well as a look at the show itself, we'll be featuring the presentation of the Microlive Rita Awards. These awards, presented in association
I want to
with
go
the
back. Wait till you see this. Wait till you see her face.
Time, any yabo can show up with a screwdriver in his hand.
And that actually does happen?
Oh, yes, in many cases, yes.
Well, tell me, how would you set about looking for a good maintenance company?
I think, first of all, when you're looking into a maintenance company, ask for a list of their customers, and don't be afraid to ring them up and ask them about their service. Become an informed consumer yourself, and to that end, Which Computer is giving away a free booklet this month that talks about avoiding these pitfalls. Finally, make sure your solicitor drafts the contract, not the maintenance company.
Thank you very much, Lynn. Thank you.
Wait till you see her face. She's not happy.
Very useful. And now, news of the first Microlive of 1986. On January the 17th, the programme will come from the Which Computer Show in Birmingham. And as well as a look at the show itself, we'll be featuring the presentation of the Microlive Rita Awards. These awards, presented in association with the show's organisers, Carner's Exhibitions Limited, are designed to recognise achievement in British information technology. The winners each receive one of these trophies, and there are 6 categories: Business Computer System, User of the Year, Newcomer of the Year, Personality of the Year, Systems Innovation, and Software Product of the Year. If you've come across a company or a product that you think deserves any of these awards, then you can nominate them by writing to Rita Awards Administrator, 59 London Road, Twickenham, Middlesex, TW1 3SZ. And the closing date is the 28th of October.
And finally, if you'd like more information about anything featured on Micro Live, there are programme notes available from a variety of sources on CFX page 700, on Telecom Gold, just type info BBC, and on the Micro Live bulletin board, that's 01579 2288. That's at 300 board, incidentally. And if you don't have the technology, it'll cost you 50p. You can just write to the address which will be given after the programme.
Well, that's all for this week. Next Friday, we'll have the winner of the Computer Animation Film Festival and news of a challenge in which you might win £8,000 of prizes. Until then, goodbye.
$1985. There you go. Yeah, that was Micro Live Series 2, Episode 1. Right, what I'm going to try and do, I think we need to kind of lift it up a wee bit. That was a bit dry. If I can't get this playing, we'll play a Games Master. So let me try and share this, see if this works. I don't think it is going to work somehow. Video file.
Video game program.
Right, there we go. This is when games attack. Can you let me know if the sound is loud enough?
And viewers should prepare themselves for games-related jokes, nonsense and general hijinks.
On today's show, I dogfight for real in a coffin-sized plane. Metal Gear Solid faces up to Splinter Cell. We take a look back at the making of Earthworm Jim, and we kick off the world's first professional virtual football tournament. Hey viewers, welcome to my brand new show. Today I'm helping out my mate at his fruit and veg stall. I'm selling double entendres by the pair. Now, this is your show as well, although technically I'm the only one that gets paid. So I'd like you to write me letters. Here's one that we made up. Dear When Games Attack, how do I finish the train level on Splinter Cell Pandora tomorrow on the Xbox? From Ahmed Harazi. Well, Ahmed, we've actually started the When Games Attack Tips hotline. Yes, it costs £400 a minute. We've got a lovely little automated menu system that will get you to the tip you want in under an hour. And remember, don't get permission from whoever pays the bill. They're probably too busy. You know, the Japanese don't always produce games full of flawless perfection. Sometimes they're so balmy and quite literally rubbish, it's a blessing they're 6,000 miles away. So let's salute the little fellas today with our top 5 worst games that should never have ever left Japan. At number 5, it's Ka 2, Let's Go Hawaii. If the bad guys in this game are insect-hating sadists, then you can figure out who the good guys are. Yes, from the country that brought you economic instability and intelligent toilets, it's a mosquito-playing game thingamajig. Your job is to fly around and suck blood from different mosquito-hating families. But careful where you bite them though, because if you nibble in the wrong place, they'll wake up and challenge you to a fight. This game may be original, but it doesn't stop it being barking. At number 4, it's Love Smash 5. The sight of female tennis players fighting with rackets should tell you all you need to know. If this is the Japanese take on women's tennis, they should stay well away. Love Smash 5 strips women of their regulation tennis uniform and forces them to play in clothes woven in a pervert's dream. The ladies themselves have obviously been missing their lessons. They're rubbish. They either spend their time being hit with flying balls or falling over like a bunch of girls. Later in the show, we'll reveal who's in the number 3 and 2 berths in our top 5 games that should never leave Japan. Hey, don't film my nuts. You know, running a fruit and veg stall is a marvellous profession. You've got the early starts, the cold wet mornings, the rude customers, and the prospect of a supermarket coming along and destroying your whole lifestyle. It really is marvellous. Let's find out about some other people's chosen careers in today's Behind the Game.
You be quiet now. Not you're going to hear that anyway, Storm.
He sends me gifts and flowers.
My name's David Perry. I'm the president of Shiny Entertainment based in Newport Beach, California. At the time, we were listening to REM on the radio playing Shiny Happy People, and so we just thought we'll call it Shiny. The first game we made was Earthworm Jim. Earthworm Jim was about a character that was this worm who was a regular worm, and out in space we have this intergalactic battle fighting over this incredible suit, which the person who has this suit controls the universe.
Yeah, we'll get to Games Master at some point, Stephen.
This love in my life.
One thing that I think made Earthworm Jim work was there was no rules, but we could basically do anything we wanted, and we realized it's fun to beat up the character that you're playing. I'm not sure if Nintendo, when they first looked at our game, they probably thought, what are these guys on? Like, what are they doing? I mean, this thing's crazy. But the fact is, it definitely seemed to strike a chord with gamers who were used to playing games that weren't funny. Earthworm Jim won lots and lots of awards. It won Game of the Year. And as a result, we ended up getting lots of other deals which we hadn't expected. So instead of taking somebody else's property and putting it into a video game, we took our video game and licensed it out to other people. That was a pretty new thing for a developer to be doing at that time. The thing that really was most exciting, looking back at Earthworm Jim, was that I was the lead programmer of the very first Earthworm Jim game. I sold Shiny to a company called Interplay. That was a mistake because ultimately I lost control of Earthworm Jim when I did that. So for me, it was a kind of a sad thing because I went into management, and the world of management is horrible compared to programming, because when you're a programmer, you have, people that appreciate what you're doing. When you're in management, everyone hates you, right?
Yeah, I can
So I went to the dark side of the force, and I stopped programming, and I look back very fondly on those days. It was fun to actually feel like you're achieving something.
We scoured the Premiership and the Championship in search of the best Pro Evolution players to stage the world's first virtual football competition. 8 pros had to compete through group rounds and knockout stages until one of them has earned the right to be crowned the When Games Attack Football Champion.
To me, that was the epitome of any realistic football game.
In Group A, we've got Alexis Nicolas and Darren Curry from Brighton, ex-England pro Lee Sharp and Watford Scott Fitzgerald. Unsurprisingly, at this stage, everyone's bereft of points.
Hi ho folks, it's match 1 in our ginormous football challenge. We've got Lee Sharp against Scott Fitzgerald. I'm going to kick off with Lee first of all. Sharpie, welcome.
Thank you very much.
The legend that is Sharpie. Let's talk about the Sharpie Shuffle first of all, one of the greatest goal celebrations ever. How did you come up with that? Did you think, right, I'm going to get the corner flag, I'm going to deliberately do a mic thing? I didn't just come to you.
No, it's all sort of off the cuff. I think I'd done it 10-pin bowling or something the week before, so it seemed like a good opportunity to do it again.
You are playing as England, so presumably you'll tear off into a 2-0 lead and then blow it all in the second half.
Well, hopefully not. But I know that the Italians are a bit defensive, so we're going to have to break them down.
Yeah. Some good players on here. Wayne Rooney, just about the best player in Pro Evolution 4. I guess you'll be wanting to get the ball to him a lot.
Oh, definitely. We'll have to feed the Rooney man and see what he can do for us. Yeah.
You're playing against Scott Fitzgerald. Scott, a bit of a fairy tale for you, of course, because you came rather late to football, didn't you? Tell us your story.
I did, yeah. I was playing non-league and managed at the age of 23 to get into the pro game, and made my mark last season at Watford, so just continuing on with it now.
Okay, well, so it's Italy against England. It's going to be a full kind of fixture. Join us after the break to see the denouement, especially if you're French.
Before that, though, there's just time to catch up with numbers 3 and 2 in our top 5 games that should never leave Japan. At number 3, it's the Dane Bijin.
We're not going to judge this game, we'll let the facts speak for themselves. An alien gremlin / crab looky-likey descends from space and bites an innocent bikini-clad girl on the beach. She falls into a deep sleep and wakes up the next day to find, naturally, she's grown into a 300-foot-tall uber babe. As a member of Japan's Special Forces, it's up to you to destroy her by piloting a helicopter and distracting her with loud dance music and a delicious giant cake. We said we wouldn't judge this game. We lied. It's obscene. At number 2, it's Mobile Suit Gundam AUG versus Titans. We've put this in for a couple of reasons. Firstly, for its ludicrously long-winded title, and secondly, because, well, quite frankly, we're sick of this whole giant transforming robot genre, which seems to be ludicrously popular in Japan for reasons unknown to us. The problem is the robots are just dull, and we'd rather watch a bunch of old men fighting outside a pub, which I'm going to do right now. Join us in part 2 to discover the #1 game that should never leave Japan. Coming up in the alternative video game show part 2, me scared in a plane, the worst Japanese game ever, and Splinter Cell taking on Metal Gear Solid. But first, it's time to join Stevie Morgan in the commentary box for our football challenge, Lee Sharp's England versus Scott Fitzgerald's Italy.
Cheers, Dominic, and it's England who get us underway, playing in the traditional red, white and blue. Now, as commentator, it's my role to be completely impartial. But that's going out the window today. Come on, England! Stop the eye ties! They're on the attack at the moment. Who's going near him? No one! Oh, and my word, David James forced to make a save. Yes, folks, you heard me right. David James made a save. But now England on the attack, and it's the Italian defence that have stopped them. And Lee Sharp knows that the expectations of a nation rest upon his shoulders.
Exactly the same, mate. Exactly what Dominic Diamond said.
Look at them both getting poised, getting ready and focused for the second half. And of course, given Italy's war record, if England were to take the lead, then we could probably expect most of the Italian side to change teams. So we could end up with an England side consisting of 22 players. Oh, that was an outrageous tackle on Beckham. And Lee Sharp knows that this is a golden opportunity, and Rooney skies it. Oh, Lord. There's still everything to play for. But it's Italy now, running down that left flank. Who's going near him? No one! Don't be frightened of him, for goodness sake! He's like a hot knife through butter! But James, I don't believe it! They said it was a controversial decision to put David James in goal, but he's earned it. Now what can Rooney do? Nothing! Sharpie, get your act together! But once again, it's the Italians forcing their way through that England defence, and David James didn't have to move a muscle. Lovely stuff. But again, another Italian attack. And the England players have all of a sudden turned ball shy. You heard me, ball shy. But that is no way to clear a ball. That's better. Textbook football. And that's the final whistle. And it ends with Lee Sharp's England 0, Scott Fitzgerald's Italy 0.
Well, as 0-0 draw score, that was a pretty good 0-0. Lee had a great chance with Rooney.
Yeah, it was a shame he just didn't pull the trigger a bit earlier, really. I thought he had a good chance, but yeah, not a bad performance first game.
Now, Scott, I think even Lee would agree that probably Italy had their better share of the chances. Zanetti threw twice, 2 massive runs from deep in his own half. Why didn't you pass when you were in the box?
Well, he just saw a few gaps there, and he carried on running through, and unfortunately just lost his bit of composure. As I say, he should have given it to a striker, really. He might have been able to finish them chances.
Having had your first game, though, do either of you feel you could go all the way in this tournament?
Well, we're going to look to improve, but it's a steady start and a good foundation, so we'll see where we go.
Yeah. And how do you fancy your chances, having had your first game under the belt?
Yeah, it's early days, but you never know.
It's early days. Why doesn't anyone say it's late days? And if we look at the table, Lee is the top by dint of alphabetical order, both of them on 1 point, no goals scored yet. It says Lee, then Scott. If it had been Scott, Lee, and we'd Lisa first of all, we'd have steps. That would have been really surreal. Okay, match 2 follows in the next show. Howdy viewers, and welcome once more to Head to Head, where we take 2 games from the same genre and compare them in... I'm sorry. Excuse me, ladies. What are you yakking about? You found something under my bed? Oh, and you brought it here. Well, let's have a look then. Oh, I don't think we need to see that now, do you? But I will have you know, I only bought 3 articles.
What year was this, Ben? I think it was
your boxes. This week, it's a pointlessly long worded game special. Cuddly is up to 4. Splinter Cell Pandora tomorrow, and Queenie's weighing in with Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty.
It is custom. That is Dominic Diamond looking rather fat.
Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty offers realistic character animation with action-style body movements and detailed facial expressions. It's clear the designers wanted to make this sequel look as real as possible. The key to Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow's impressive graphics are its lighting effects. Sam Fisher's stealthy goings-on through the light and shade create an effective atmosphere of mood and intrigue. But which one is the best?
Just because of the cutscenes couldn't be arsed with.
63% of the 100 gamers we surveyed said Metal Gear Solid had better graphics than Splinter Cell. Round 1 to Metal Gear. 2 rounds to go.
So, the dim-lit grey and green tones of Metal Gear Solid just pipping the dim-lit grey and green tones of Splinter Cell, which means Queenie takes round 1. Round 2. Story.
Sons of Liberty tells an ambitious and complicated story about secret organizations, government, soldiers and terrorists double-crossing each other in an attempt to control all human knowledge. Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow has the kind of high-concept plot usually reserved for Hollywood blockbusters. It's your job to take out a terrorist who has to make a phone call each day to someone somewhere, or else a biological plague will be released across the globe. But which is the most gripping scenario? 76% of you said that Pandora Tomorrow had the better story. Pandora Tomorrow takes round 2. 1 more round to go.
Unsurprisingly, after round 2, Cuddly draws level.
Curious, guys, is anybody watching this just now? Has anybody not seen this?
So, the final deciding round 3. Gameplay.
The hide-and-seek gameplay defined in Metal Gear Solid 1 is largely unchanged in the sequel, but there are some improvements. Now you can sneak past enemies by swinging beneath them and use a first-person mode for greater accuracy in firefights. If anything, Pandora Tomorrow involves even more lurking and sneaking than Metal Gear. Patience is absolutely essential, as the gameplay mercilessly punishes the reckless or impulsive. But which game plays the best for you? 67% of our survey said Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow had the better gameplay. Round 3 goes to Splinter Cell, making Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow today's winner at 2 rounds to 1.
Congratulations, Cuddly, coming from behind to win today's head-to-head 2-1. But where's Queenie the loser today? Oh, there she is. That'll be the forfeit. Cuddly, do you want to do the honours? Go on, you've earned it. See you next time for another head-to-head. Time now to reveal the number 1 game that should never leave Japan. First, let's look back at the other contenders. At number 5, it's Ka2, Let's Go Hawaii. Why, oh why? At number 4, Women's Tennis Gone Bad, Love Smash 5. At number 3, 50-Foot Pish in the Dane Bijin. And at number 2, Metal Morons in Mobile Suit Z, blah 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 blah. But the number one game that should never leave Japan is Yoshinoya. Only the Japanese would package what in reality must be soul-destroying work into a game full of excitement and action. You are a lowly restaurant worker who must serve Yoshinoya, some kind of noodle stuff, to a relentless stream of hungry customers by pushing the required button at the required time. If you're too slow, the customers fly into a fit so furious their heads swell up and you'll incur the blinding wrath of your boss. Yoshinoya Takes the Noodle has the most bizarre, questionable Japanese game we can definitely do without. Now we import some fruit from America. We get oranges from Florida, plums from New England, and idiots from Texas. Time now to pop over to America to feature fruits of a slightly different kind in today's feature. In video games, there's a lot of simulation of running around, driving around, flying around, shooting. But what's it like for real? Well, today, we're going to put a small orphan in one of these and find out. Unfortunately, that small orphan is me. Air Combat in California specialises in a unique kind of aerial paintball. The tiny stunt planes are dual control, so the instructor does the takeoff and landing, but other than that, they never touch the controls. Great! If you're feeling suicidal. Feeling good? Not so scared now. I adopted the flight tag Juvenile for the fight, and my opponent was my producer, who was looking even less frightening than usual. I no longer feel like making a call time now. Yeah, let's meet 8 tomorrow morning. No, I don't think so.
What we're doing today is combat. It's the real deal. It's as real as it gets. Life and death stuff. Literally, from the time the fight starts to the time the kill happens, 20 seconds, jumping out of the airplane. The official call would be bail out, eject, or if you happen to notice that the instructor is already gone.
I am absolutely terrified. I don't think I've ever been so scared of anything in my life, to be honest. Added to the fact that obviously Dooley, who I'm flying with, is obviously crazy. But it looks perfectly normal.
Ready to fly? Ready to kick some?
Yeah, ready to kick some.
Let's go.
Some butt.
What the hell has he got going on with his face?
5 against Dooley and Juvenile.
Combat involved a best-of-3 dogfight with hits indicated by smoke canisters firing from the target plane. Now remember, I'm the only one touching the controls here. The basic strategy is pick up speed and try and get behind your opponent, but doing this requires a series of gut-wrenching manoeuvres.
Now just watch him. Now bring your nose up and fight on. Oh! Now look at him. Watch his airplane. It's real important. Oh, you got to turn toward him. Okay, buddy. Now I want you to bring your stick back toward you. Keep your eye on him. Where'd he go? Over there. Now back to the left.
I quickly discovered that moving the plane's joystick had an altogether more dramatic effect than the one attached to my PC.
Only look at him.
True to form, while I was getting settled, my shifty producer came at me from behind.
I think he's about to kill us. Oh yeah, I hate to tell you, ladies.
First blood to the boss.
Next time we're going to be a little more aggressive, see if we get ourselves a kill here, okay, bud? We're going to come in with the nose down, a little bit of speed, nose down. We're going to bring the nose up and bang toward you. There we go. Keep turning left. We'll let our nose back down. Now, get some speed. Bring your nose up and kill him right now. Kill him. Nose on him. Gun sight. Tracking. Guns, guns. Whoops, guns, guns.
Get it right up here. One each.
Okay, use your stick a little bit. We're going to come back down. Watch him only. Only his airplane. Ease your cheek just a little bit.
Quite top one, but anyway.
Nose back up. Okay, keep it right in there. Track it. Guns, 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 guns. Keep it on him, keep it on him. 20, Mike, right into his canopy. There's his roll. We've got him. Keep it coming down now. Nose coming down. Down. Smooth. A little bit of right stick. It's smoke. Good kill.
I think I may have myself.
Give me a high five, bro. Okay, we're all done. Head home.
Yeah, interesting, Ben. I don't know where that was.
You've been too kind now.
Arizona?
I may have beaten my producer 2 kills to 1, but like a true pro, I was modest about my victory. Bend over! Bend over! Well, what have we learned today, kids? Basically that no amount of playing flight simulations can prepare you for the sheer physical trauma of G-forces. Unless, of course, you play Chuck Yeager while your best friend punches you in the stomach. On next week's experiment, I'll be leading a squadron of crack space marines onto the planet Halo. For real. Well, that's it for today's When Games Attack. I'm off home with a banana for the wife. See you next time.
It's everything you'd expect, isn't it? Like a postcard of the dramatic Cornish coastline.
Right, I think that's the end of that. Right, what do you think of that? Enjoy that? Right, listen, I'm going to get going. Before we go, what I'm going to do, just for a couple of minutes, is look at some gaming adverts from back in the day. Let's have a quick look. Video file. Yeah, let me know. Is this series worth continuing? Do you enjoy it? Right, adverts. Well, that's all adverts. Gaming TV adverts. Right, let's try and find some. Don't know what this is. Alright, that doesn't support it. Let's try something else. Good stuff. If a few people enjoy it, then I don't mind. I don't mind doing these. Like I said, if nobody enjoys it, then I don't see any point in continuing with it. Let's try the Atari 2600. None of these. Nothing there. This isn't going very well. Atari 8-bits. Oh, for Christ's sake, that doesn't work. Evening, Brian. You've literally just joined me as we're about to disappear. Right, listen, I can't find anything else to play, so I think that's enough. I'm going to look at the camera, actually. So listen, guys, thank you very much for tuning in tonight. I will be back with the Friday Waffle on Friday. Probably going to be along on Sunday for the usual live stream shenanigans. Until next time, guys, have an excellent Thursday and Friday, and I'll see you on Friday. Take care, guys. Cheers.